Every inspiring story follows a particular formula. Someone is down on their luck, but has ambition to be someone more. Whether it's to become an influential individual or someone who makes a lot of money, the story shows the journey of rags to riches. At its core, these stories are meant to teach us one thing: that failure will happen, but it's not the end of our story. Not only that, but the virtues like persistence, grit, and a little bit of luck is all that we really need to overcome the challenges that we face. Beyond this, self-help has talked at length about hustle culture and becoming successful. People have no shortage of ideas of things you could do. You could monetize your hobbies, or, and this is a pretty hot take, build a business where you provide a service to a very rich person. If the last one sounds like a regular job, it sure is, but this idea came from the smart man Tai Lopez, who reads a book a day. There is no shortage of these kinds of ideas, and this overall can-do attitude instills this mentality that giving up is just wrong. We're meant to romanticize the hustle culture and the grind, and if we fail, we use those as lessons learned so that we can perform immediately afterwards and much better. The idea is to keep on running and just never stopping.
Making mac and cheese, and nobody can stop.
And as charming and as well-meaning as that can be, the self-help world has supercharged these aspects. It's made people into hustle bros who grind at 5 a.m. and call you weak if you give up. It's made people show off their weird morning routines online as if it's a point of pride. And as someone who isn't black and doesn't rub a banana on his face, I've got a question for you. What happens if the genuine lesson learned from a recent failure is actually to stop doing what you're doing, to give up? The situation is difficult. On one hand, we all have vested interests in our own goals. We want to achieve these. We want to complete these because we believe that achieving these will just make our lives that much better. But in the other, our lives are uncertain and unpredictable.
But what does that have to do with anything?
No. He's got a point.
We have no idea how long we'll have to be digging to achieve our goals, and whether we're going to be striking diamonds in the next little bit, just like that motivational picture that keeps popping up so many times whenever we're talking about success. Obviously, the easy choice is to keep on going no matter what. But there are some compelling reasons to at least pause and deliberate a little bit further, to contemplate and ask ourselves whether this is something that should be achieved right now. But before we get into that, I would really appreciate it if you left a like on this video and also to subscribe to this channel for more videos in the future. Also, I would encourage you to follow me on Patreon as well. I have a link down in the description below where you can give me a follow there, and I hopefully will be putting in some more perks in there in the future as I continue to grow this channel and grow the Patreon page. So, what exactly are those reasons that I'm talking about? First off, with any pursuit in life, I find the process of success to be something like this. You think of something that you want to be achieving. You then gather information on how to achieve that goal. This could be some seminars, courses, books, or articles on the subject. And then finally, you try out whatever it is that they were giving you, and you either succeed or you fail. From that third point, you create an opportunity for introspection. With success, you feel that rush of accomplishment, and in certain cases, repeat the same formula to replicate those results and continue to expand.
More.
But when you fail, something different happens. You tend to reflect on what went wrong and what can be improved, and you try to change up your strategy from there. It's a fine thing to do. As plenty of other people have said, trying the same thing over and over and over again while expecting different results is the definition of insanity.
Oh shit, here we go again.
But so often in the self-help world, this aspect is exploited far more often than we realize. When failure happens, we tend to look at our own personal shortcomings and defend the credibility of whoever gave that advice in the first place. We rationalize that it was just a mistake we made and not much else. And this behavior has resulted in the self-help world getting away with some pretty dodgy advice. Like, again, that piece of advice that Ty Lopez dropped. And other things such as, like, we can manifest whatever we want in our lives with just our brainwave powers.
Think Prince Zuko. Think, what do you plan to do now that you have found the Avatar's bison?
Or, again, that rubbing a banana peel on your face to help with skincare for men. The self-help world is notorious for this kind of stuff, and it's more likely to keep us in this loop where the benefits are marginal at best. And yet, we would defend these individuals for being smart or successful individuals. My first reason to quit something is to get yourself out of this particular exploitative loop. A loop where you can end up in the worst spot depending on how many laps you've done and the costs that come with doing those laps. Rubbing a banana peel over your face is harmless enough, but spending thousands of dollars per seminar to attend multiple Tony Robbins seminars because you're a big fan of him could put you in a tighter bind financially and possibly living on the streets. This is the problem with a lot of self-help gurus' loops. As much as they present themselves to be helpful or useful, the benefits can be marginal at best and harmful at worst.
Well, that was a waste of time.
If they're ineffective, then you're likely to be spent stewing over defending these tactics and telling yourself you're the problem rather than ditch that particular piece of advice. And to avoid all that is to simply finally stop running and exit that loop.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
All that being said, leaving the loop is difficult for several reasons. On top of the ones I mentioned, self-help gurus and elites are hell-bent in conditioning us to think a certain way about success, improvement, and failure. With failure in particular, it is both necessary, but something you have to pull through and defeat if it happens. Failure to do that paints you as some loser, uncommitted, or weak.
I have the high ground! You underestimate my power!
The reality, though, is the exact opposite. Continuing to stay in that loop means more money for them and less for you. And while our hope is to get something of equivalent value, we're often left with something mid.
Do you think maybe he's compensating for something?
This overall relationship we have makes everything backwards. Instead of getting genuine help from someone much better off, we're left with scraps and gaslighting that this is all good for us, and that we should be grateful for them providing this. The reality is that leaving that loop doesn't make you a loser, but rather a graceful and critical thinker about growing and genuine improvement. It is to the point that you will discard what isn't helping you and turn to something else. Or in this case, maybe setting it aside for another time if it's not that pressing. Delaying projects or quitting desires temporarily gives you the opportunity to be introspective. If you're getting pushback from people, it's worth asking why, especially if your desire is to do something that causes harm to people. If your goal is for some betterment for yourself, it could be worth asking whether that's necessary right now. The thing is, there are downsides depending on the circumstances, but taking a step back or even quitting something could be genuinely more helpful for you than to keep on going and keep digging.
Now stand aside, worthy adversary. 'Tis but a scratch. A scratch?
An example of this is my YouTube channel. YouTube has made a point of reminding me that I've had this channel for 9 years now. But if you look at my uploads, there have been multiple times where my uploading is just spotty or very infrequent. There are several times where there's just gigantic gaps of years or months or weeks. In some cases, I've even deleted some of my earlier videos because they no longer reflect what this channel is all about. Some of these reasons are all varied, like I'm building my own writing brand or just procrastination. But I never stopped thinking about this channel. I wanted to get back to making videos and to invest in it and to figure out a video structure that would work for me and my overall goals and desires in this industry. And I did most of those things now. But that only came after looking at this channel and thinking I should quit this for now, much earlier on, and focus on something that was far more pressing and working on that first before actually coming back here and working on this wherever I can. And that rationale is especially appropriate when we go back to those very same success stories that are shoved in our faces so much. While they're all about instilling specific virtues and lessons, they also are half-truths. Like showing off a morning routine, you could be sold a lie or some wild expectations that the individual showing off somehow instills.
You sit on a throne of lies.
A lot of these things can be very well-meaning, like the banana peel thing, I think is innocent enough, even though it is still weird.
If I had a nickel for every time I was doomed by a puppet, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice, right?
But it starts to become more destructive when we try to be like those people. For example, take Elon Musk, the guy that I use all the time for examples in these videos. He is the world's richest man and also the biggest loser. Before people knew how much of a fraud he was, his success story was a tragic one, where there was a lot of highs, while also a bunch of lows and just terrible moments.
I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
Every time he succeeded at something, there was always reality that was coming in and slapping him down. It seemed like any moment where making a minor misstep for him would be catastrophic and would be the end of his career. And yet, here he is. But little did we know that a lot of his failures came from just Elon as a person, and that a lot of his success was off of the backs of a lot of privilege.
Taxes! Beautiful, lovely taxes!
He thought he was a man of great virtue, and for humanity, considering the fact that he was building an electric car company and that he had this space program where he's going to help with colonizing Mars and all of this other stuff. We thought that he would be a great asset for human betterment. But as time went on, we realized just how much privilege he actually had and how much of a fraud he actually is. My point is that Musk is a fraud. And in a lot of other cases, a lot of the stories that were fed on success and all these other virtues all have like this kernel of truth, but also this kernel of lies, or us not being able to see the entire picture, or the premise, or the context. We're missing all of that stuff. And so trying to emulate those people and trying to be like those people tends to be more problematic for us because we have a warped vision of who these people are and what we have to do in order to succeed and to thrive. And so this fact is is my final reason for why quitting might be a better option. Because in reality, trying to be the next Elon Musk is just not realistic for people like you and me, where we're not, because we don't have access to an emerald mine that our dear old dad is just kicking money off to us.
That's rough, buddy.
So, to reiterate, giving up on something doesn't mean it's the end of all that, or that it's a terrible idea that you should never complete. Unless you're doing something truly hateful and harming people, I think it's absolutely fine to set the project aside and focus on something more pressing, or to, again, deliberate. And those reasons could very well be due to the warped perception that we have of success, growth, as well as giving up. So asking yourself a simple question, should I stop here, can give you the pause you need to make sure this is something you genuinely want to do before proceeding any further. And if the answer is yes, make a point of being okay with that. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching this video. It really means a lot to me. Don't forget to go and leave a like on this video if you haven't done so already, and also to subscribe to this channel. It really helps with boosting this channel up and making this passion project of mine a little more financially viable.